Would you like to learn from those that are taking their lives, their businesses, and their passions to the next level? Best-selling author of Speakeasy and master connector Lou Diamond is here to connect you to some of the most inspiring and amazing people on this planet. Get ready to thrive loud with Lou Diamond.
Welcome, everyone, to another spectacular episode of Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond, connecting you to the most inspiring and amazing people that are thriving each and every day. I'm your host, Lou Diamond. Oh my God, I'm excited for today. One, we're in studio, which we'll talk about in a minute. But two, today we have a woman on a mission to leverage deep tech for the bottom billion. She is the founder of Women Investing in Women in Digital, where she created both SHEQONOMI and Podcasters, digital media and digital asset platform by and for women. She's a Fulbright scholar. She's pretty smart. Global innovator, a game changer, and someone I'm so proud to bring you here today because we are here in studio, Thrive Loud viewers and listeners, with Anu Bhardwaj. Anu, welcome to Thrive Loud.
Hello. So happy to be here.
I'm excited to be here for two reasons. One, we are doing this first time in studio, which is awesome. Something you and I got a chance to connect not too long ago. We connected up in Orlando, Florida at PodFest 2025 in January.
Yes.
I have to say that I also got a chance to hear you on other podcasts and other platforms before. I even got a chance to produce some of the stuff that she does.
That's wild.
It's kind of crazy. And to say she's the real deal, as I did in the opening, is an understatement. And what I want to do for all of our amazing listeners and viewers out there is I want to do a little rewind.
Okay.
I do not want to go all the way back to the womb. But I kind of want to go back a little bit. I want to kind of understand and bring everyone up to speed as to how what you're doing today became your gig.
It's Dharma first and foremost. I'm gonna call it my digital Dharma. And I came into this world about 10 years ago with Women Investing, Women Digital, as you mentioned. And we actually had a podcast called Women Investing in Women and Girls, which we produced with Voice America Kids back in the day. It was a radio show. And my co-host was my babysitter. My nanny was the producer, and my 2.5-year-old was also on the show. And this grew and grew and grew. And in 2019, I actually took the girls up to the United Nations, where we did blockchain for impact at the UN.
Amazing.
And Women Investing in Women actually had crypto for kids. We birthed it. And then during the pandemic, SHEQONOMI was born. And that was actually a homeschooling kitchen table project with Aria, my daughter. Mm-hmm. And it was actually her idea on how to connect listeners in other parts of the world, girls who couldn't go to school and women who were forced out of their homes. They didn't have TVs, they couldn't read. So we were thinking of ways, how do we engage them during the pandemic? And that's how this all got started.
SHEQONOMI, and for those who are looking, you could see it here on the bottom right of the screen. SHEQONOMI, which I like. A kind of different way of doing it.
Thank you.
Why does SHEQONOMI matter today?
SHEQONOMI is giving access to those who have not had access before through audio on low-cost mobile devices that don't always require a smartphone or a data plan, right? And so we can go the direction of 4G and 5G. We can give access to people who already have access and new tools and features and things like that. But we have to remember, there are people in the world that have very little savings and they're not going to blow it on data plans and they're not going to afford smartphones. And so we have to develop tech that's for them. And especially women and girls who've been forced out of school, who don't have access to education. And maybe they learn in different ways. And there's other people in the world who learn differently. And so we came up with SHEQONOMI as a way to amplify women's voices, especially podcasters, like really laser focused on one thing and doing one thing very well, which we now have built on Android, iOS, KaiOS, geo across India and also cloud phone on multiple Gs, 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G devices, TVs and laptops and soon cars, other kinds of low-cost monitors.
I want to give the listeners something I mentioned at the top of the show, a real important piece. And this has to do with what I called the bottom billion.
Yes.
Help paint a picture for all the listeners and viewers out here as to what we're talking about here, not only where we're talking about it geographically, what this looks like in the size and really the circumstances that they have to deal with today, and why this is going to help connect all the dots here as to why this is so important.
Yes, absolutely. So if you look at Latin America, and you look at all of Africa, and you look at South Asia, and when I say South Asia, that's Bangladesh, Pakistan, and India alone is over 2 billion people. And the world has about 7 billion people. So we're already talking about people that are in remote villages where Google hasn't penetrated in some aspects because you don't have Wi-Fi. If some of you have gone on a boat trip or you've gone into camping in the desert or wherever, you know that you lose bars and connectivity. Imagine having to live like that your whole entire life. So what's really, really, really important is that we address the lack of connectivity. And Vodafone will only go so far. Nokia will only go so far. Now we've got companies that are building their own 4G networks across nations so that people can connect. And I think you remember during the pandemic when you lost connectivity, or even the fires that just happened in LA, for instance, like you're worried about your loved ones and what's going to happen. And if they lose connectivity, that's it. But luckily, like, we have connectivity and we know what's going on and we can record video and audio. So I think it's super important. It should be a human right, first and foremost. Digital connectivity is a human right. When you talk about women's education, how do you expect them to get there if they can't connect?
One, I love this concept of just how many people we're reaching. And I think what's even more important here is that there's so many different ways to learn. The thing that also got me, and I'm going to ask this question so you can answer it, because I had a conversation with Anu about this, and it completely blew my mind when I learned this fact. It's not only about English, is it? Give me an understanding, or give the listeners an understanding, SHEQONOMI, what are we covering here? We have so many different languages across the place you just meant. It's going to cover much, if not all of this, yes?
Yeah, so the premise was we're not the only ones on the planet that need this audio. There are women and girls everywhere, and we've now curated content that's in 65 languages. Wow. So English, Spanish, Chinese, Arabic, Telugu, Tamil, Bahasa, Tagalog, Swedish, Sinhalese, and Swahili, for instance, Afrikaans, Dutch. And when you start to think of all of these women that are from indigenous communities where languages are being lost, they've got wisdom too. My grandma was really wise. She knew a lot. And I wish I had her story for my daughter and our great-grandchildren. But stories are being lost, and women have so much to share and say, and I wish I had my grandma's wisdom now. And now we can capture that. But not only that, my daughter, who's born and raised here in the US and Canada, can now listen to it in English. And with AI, we can translate these languages and start to connect women from Africa to South America to Europe, Europe to North America. And imagine what's going to happen when women have the ability to speak freely and be understood freely. And so far, podcasts, it's one-way street. It's like we talk, they listen. Yeah. But I think when we listen to refugees, for instance, or these communities of women who've never had a smartphone, they're going to have a lot to say, and we're going to be the one listening and saying, wow, never thought of it that way.
There's another aspect to this which is amazing, and that is that you are building this network with SHEQONOMI and podcasters. Well, we'll talk about that in a second to help clarify, where you're helping podcasts that are all over the world at this point, or in the US or in the first world countries, if you would. They have a chance to get their content to access this entire global network as well. Talk a little bit about that, because I think it's all part of the same thing, but this is really important, how the reach that people can have to so many different people.
Right. So there are groups in the United States, communities, I'll say, educate, like yours, your company, Thrive Loud. You help women build their podcasts, grow their podcasts. You're predominantly focused on the U.S. market. And what we've done specifically with SHEQONOMI is we're going to create this community, and you've met some of the people within our community, and we've said we're going to get you out to places like India, for instance, and Africa and Latin America, and we've already showed penetration on dumb phones. We actually built these from scratch, 2G, 3G, 4G phones during a pandemic. It's not easy, but we got there. And the most important thing is that last week we got into geophones. And these phones are specific to India. They have 4G and 5G capability. We are now in 450 million devices across India.
Amazing.
And this is the phones. It's also the television sets that are working in the villages. And most importantly, we've also shown that we've had penetration on island nations around the world. And this is going to get really interesting because sometimes there's natural disasters. I was just living in Puerto Rico and I lost all power, water, connectivity. And how do these people survive in areas where they don't have connectivity? So we have to give them something. And it matters because we're not just saying, look, this is for people that can blow up their podcasts in the US market or in Europe. We're saying we're going to go to the emerging markets. And we've actually shown precedence, and we've actually showed presence and focus. And we actually partnered with large companies that said, we love your tech and we want to get it out to places that have never had access.
I keep thinking about this. Think of how many wellness podcasts there are in the world, and they provide a way to educate people about feminine hygiene to the community of young girls across the group who don't have that. Education about what's going on in parts of the world that they wouldn't be able to see. Even educational type of content that exists on top of entertainment type of things, or just learning it from great people and other thought leaders. I want to pat you on the back here, which I'm going to do plenty of, but by the end of the show, I won't physically reach over and pat you on the back. But I think what this is so amazing about is there's one thing to connect people to great content. You are creating these great people all over the world to each other, to create communities, to have conversations. This is what this is building. This was a vision that you and your daughter had created, basically. There's a sense of you have so much pride and proudness about this particular situation. How has the growth and development of this what has it meant to you, and how have you felt as you've been developing and what you've been seeing?
So what I would say about SHEQONOMI is it blows my mind every time how far we're going and how many people we're getting access to. And initially I was so excited about when we got the number 350,000 listeners, downloads on KaiOS. That's a big number during a pandemic. Like, we weren't just sitting and watching Netflix and eating Papa John's all day.
Some of us.
No, I told Arya there's no more TV. We were going to get rid of the TV. Poor Arya. She went to her dad's house. But whatever. It's like, I'm happy that we were able to reach who we reached. And now when I go to India and I see this, company that also built their own 4G network, they have $30 billion in satellites that they launched. Like, who would have heard of that? And if I was just thinking about, amplifying a few podcasters' voices here, then that would have been like limiting what I had envisioned in connecting the bottom billion, which we talked about already.
Yeah.
So it's very, very clean and it's very, very clear, but it's not just limited to India. Like, we're talking about connecting women who speak Spanish and who speak Arabic. And we have curated content in both Chinese and in Tagalog, across the Philippines and Indonesia. So this is really like a labor of love, but we said we don't want to leave people out. We want to be accessible. We want to be inclusive, but we also want to partner with tech that's affordable. Yeah. And that's where we went in and partnered with Reliance Jio. And they said, we love your product, and we don't just want to partner with you. We want to go across the platform and let's see if it works in all our devices. So this was really intentional from day one.
Yeah. To give the viewers and listeners a perspective, I'd say the latest iPhone is probably like $1,000. The phones that Geo has, as I understand it, they could be like $13 is the equivalent if I'm doing the ratio of what that is. And think how important it is to be able to get something like that in somebody's hand and then have still all the access that they could have. That's like an incredible. That is probably, if anything, one of the more powerful parts. It's not just the connectivity, it's this unbelievable content you guys are creating. You're so proud of this. I could tell. She's beaming, by the way.
I'm beaming. I'm beaming because when we first applied for this, this was a moonshot. Not even that. Like, this was like going out and we had no idea what would happen. And Arya donated her college fund to make this happen. And then my team in India at the time said, you know, you're going to have to write grants. Like, this is just a prototype. You're going to have to build this. You need more money. And we had reached out to the Islamic Development Bank COVID Innovation Competition. And I thank them all the time because without that capital, initial capital, we had an application that competed against 5,000 other very well-deserving innovations from 125 countries. There were 30 winners, 7 women, and we won the grand prize. Saudi, Oman, UAE, Bangladesh, Indonesia said this is the prize that's going to help women across the world in different languages. It's not just English. Like, you are going to be the one to put it on these phones. And they never even had India in mind at the time, neither did I. As we started building, this evolved, and then it went into cloud phone. So this is a journey unlike any other. Now with AI, I'm already speaking with some of my friends who are working in the spatial web and quantum. Like, what can we do and how can we do that? We have Web3 enabled already. So this is what gets me really excited.
Now, I flexed your brain power in the beginning. You're obviously very smart. You're an IIT Fulbright scholar. I'll give the listeners the fast forward version of this. I met her at PodFest in Orlando, and at the same time, the World Economic Forum was taking place in Davos, which you used to go to every year. And that what was it? I guess 4 years ago, you were at PodFest when you came up with it, and you came back to now announce
Correct.
and share it, which has got to be a real cool, bring things full circle. I love asking people who are thriving on most days. Look, you are thriving on most days. What is it that keeps Anu going? You're doing so many smart things, so many things that are, I would say, are more philanthropic and trying to think of the much bigger world than just maybe the bottom line. You're putting it together with bottom lines too. I'm not discounting that, but you are definitely thinking about the world more than anything else. What's behind that? I want to decode a little bit. I want to double click down there. What is the inspiration that keeps you thinking about helping so many?
We have an opportunity unlike any other generation. And I look at my grandmother's generation and great-grandmother's generation, and both grandmothers, they went to middle school. That was it. They got married, they had kids, and this is typical. I look at Arya. She's a digital native. She's teaching me how to use my iPhone. And she's thriving, like, with the opportunities that we give her and limitless potential with, you know, her imagination and creativity. And I think of all these other girls who are limited, and this is driving me at the end of the day. I mean, I love having tools and features, don't get me wrong, on my podcast listening apps. I love Spotify, but I also realize there are people that don't have that access. Yeah. And even if you gave them a Vodafone, it has to be hyper curated, right, which is what we're doing. And it has to be hyper relevant. And I was one of those girls. And this is the thing, like, if you come from that part of the world, you get it. And I have utmost respect for Daniel Ek, utmost respect for Bob Pittman, every other tech entrepreneur out there in the audio space. But they're never going to have lived my journey to create what I'm creating. So if we don't create it for ourselves, who's going to do it?
Love it. You had said to me once that you made it out. And there's a little bit of, I'm going to keep making help those other people have the potential to do that too. So kudos to you. Anu, you're on this program because you were thriving. I don't even need to go into the detail. We've just gone through all the things that SHEQONOMI is going to do, what podcasters are going to do, what every innovation that you're doing, which is why you're here. Most days you're thriving. But we all have those days where we're a little off our game. When Anu Bhardwaj has trouble kicking on all cylinders, is there a practice you seek or an individual you seek out to help yourself get back on the thriving track?
Yes. So I I have gone inwards many times. I do have a journal, but it's not one that you write. It's one that you speak into. So this is like a mirror, but it's an audio mirror. And you record your chakras. What's going on in your head, what's going on in your heart, what's going on inside. And sometimes it's not the worst thing in the world, but when you reflect on it a week later, 2 weeks later, sometimes I've got audio journals from 7 years ago, 8 years ago, and I'm like, that was not a problem. I see it completely differently when you've removed yourself. So sometimes it helps to do those reflections and do not respond when angry. Like, wait until you have that counter perspective, and then respond, because it's a whole mind-body reaction. And in terms of counsel and people who I rely on, I have different people for different situations. And this is many like personal advisors that are friends, family members, professional, and so on and so forth. So for a woman, I would say get as many mentors as possible, people that you can reflect with and rely on.
Love it. You know, I have a lot of women that I have coached or consulted or helped with the podcast piece, and I connected immediately with an Anu because it's not only that spirit that drives you, but you can see there's an inner balance with it, and you really have it. It comes out of you, your aura, as you would. See how that stuff really shines out there. You can see it on camera, folks. You can check it out. Look at her. She's like smiling and whatever. Okay.
Thank you.
Let's do the admin part of the show. And,
Okay.
and I also want to give a special shout out. Anyone watching this or checking this out, specifically content creators, I want you to hear what she's about to share. We're going to talk about all the places you can find SHEQONOMI podcasters, special promos that we're going to do specifically for signing up for podcasters, which I know you want to share with the listeners. So the floor is yours. Hit it. Let everybody know what they need to do.
Yes. So if you would like to learn more about SHEQONOMI, we are on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we're also on, I think it's Instagram, yes. So you can find us at SHEQONOMI. The other domain you may want to check out is podcasthersglobal.com, PODCASTHERS global.com. And yes, please check out our handles, and we are more than looking forward to connecting with you. And I think we can put this in our notes or show notes, and so we'll get you those show notes so you can connect with us. And also, if there's any new podcasts or new shows that we should be aware of, please flag them.
Yeah, and I'll say this: people, if you have any questions more about it, we'll put it in the show notes. You want to DM me directly too on how you can get set up, because what's really cool is you have a chance to be in this group, to be one of the programs that's being broadcast everywhere, and to have that access and that reach might be something that you content providers want to do. And if you want to contribute or get involved or learn more about it and find more about Anu, you can figure it out. We will share it with you. Anu?
Thank you.
Anu, you ready to go down Fun Street here on Thrive Loud?
I'm a little nervous, but yeah, let's do it.
She shouldn't be nervous. We want to give a quick shout out to our man Ben, who can't be seen here. Ben's in the background here. Ben, you can talk into the mic for a second. You can jump in.
What's up, everybody?
You enjoying Thrive Loud so far? You having a good time?
Oh, I'm loving this. I'm very interested right now. I'm actually looking at some of the other podcasts you have too. I love it.
Ben has more facial hair than I have in my entire body, so it's okay. We don't need to. We'll hide him from there. But anyway, all right. So we're going down Fun Street here. I'm going to start off with a very simple question, and we're going to ease on down sort of the Fun Street road. You shouldn't be nervous. Okay, we'll start off with this one. Does Anu Bhardwaj have maybe an all-time favorite movie?
Yes, I have several actually.
Okay.
All-time favorite. I've always said Dead Poets Society.
Oh, I love that movie. Why does that movie connect so much with you?
I think it's because Robin Williams really forces you to think about who you are.
Yeah. Really dig deep into what you really care about in your soul. It's so true.
Yeah.
We miss him. We've probably had out of the 1,000-some episodes on this program, so many movies where Robin Williams has been the featured actor, and every time I think about it, I'm like, it's what a gift to the world. But we miss him so much because he's so brilliant.
Yes.
I just got a feed on scrolling the other day of his whole description of the game of golf. It's one of the funniest things in the entire world. He does it in the Scottish accent and how stupid the game is, from his perspective. It's pretty funny. Okay. We're going to do what we call the Speakeasy Pub Crawl. Mostly because we're going to stop at all the fun places on Fun Street that mean the most to you. There's no wrong answers. They're all up to you. It's our speed round thing, right?
Awesome.
Here we go.
Awesome.
Of late, a song that you love to listen to or one that pumps you up.
Glamorous.
Who's Glamorous?
Fergie.
Fergie. Oh, okay. I did.
L-A-M.
We got her to sing on the show, too. Favorite food that's not a dessert?
Tomka. Thai.
Okay. Favorite dessert?
Flan.
An activity you wish you did more of?
We're on camera.
Okay, we'll go with whatever version you want. An activity you wish you did more of?
Kiting.
Kiting, okay. An activity you wish you did less of?
Driving.
A new activity, one that you've recently tried that you like so much you want to tell all the listeners and viewers to try.
Okay. New activity. I gotta think about this. Okay, so I did my first karaoke. I thought it was pretty fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to clarify. I got a chance to witness this. She was pretty okay.
Were you there?
I was in the doorway when it was happening.
You stayed till midnight?
Well, I left at like 12:01, but
No.
maybe there was a reason why.
Okay.
I have no.
All right. Okay.
You got up on stage and you actually did the karaoke.
I did the karaoke.
Yeah,
I did like a prayer.
I know. You got to break out Madonna when you can. If I could snap my fingers to somebody that's been so many places around the world, and you could be anywhere in the world.
Yes.
Where are you?
Stockholm.
Oh, Stockholm.
Because I got my MBA there, and I miss everyone, and I missed like the seasons, and it was a difficult place for me to leave, and my heart's still there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Have you ever been there during the winter, though, in December? Because they don't get a lot of sunlight up there.
So this is the thing about Sweden. November, they light the whole country up with candles. It's stunning. Christmas, they have Santa Lucia, and the Nobel dinner. I actually went to a Nobel dinner. It was incredible. It was like, we got one of the lucky tickets, like Willy Wonka. You remember the golden tickets?
Yeah.
We got one of those and went to the actual Nobel dinner.
Oh, wow.
So Sweden in December is all lit up. Christmas, like you should go for Christmas because it's like beautiful, magical wonderland. And they have Christmas markets in the old squares. And it's just, everyone's in a good mood. That's the month where everyone is in a good mood.
I like it. November. Notice we didn't talk about December. That's a whole other story. After
December, that was December.
Oh, that was December. So it is. That's when
Yeah.
you let it off.
Yeah.
All right. Look at this. Stockholm. Anu Bhardwaj, truly an honor to have you on the program. Thank you so much for what you're doing.
Thank you.
Everybody check out SheEconomy. Check out Podcast Hers for those that we promoted here today. And there will be more things that we'll be talking about. She and I've got some things to do that might involve going to a higher level with younger people. We'll talk more about that in the future.
Amen. This is a fun one.
Yes, we're
Yes.
kind of liking the idea.
Yes, you're gonna love
here.
this.
Everyone should be on the lookout. What we are going to be doing is a little different, but why would you expect anything other than greatness than coming from you? So,
Oh my goodness. Thank you.
flattery is the highest form of compliments.
Thank you.
And again, special shout out to the Podcast Junkies studio where we're recording
Ben.
here today. Our man Ben, producer, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. And a special thank you for everything you're doing. I want to state this one more time.
Thank you.
Great to have you, and
Yes.
keep doing what you're doing because the world needs more Anus in the world. It's
Thank
amazing.
you.
To all the listeners out there, thank you for joining us. Until next time, keep moving onward and upward. And remember, be brief, be bright, be gone.
I got problems up to here. I got people in my ear telling me these crazy things that I don't want to know.
You've been listening to Thrive Loud with your host, Lou Diamond. Check us out on the web at thriveloud.com and follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook at Thrive Loud. And check us out on the Good Pods app at Thrive Loud, where you can follow, listen, and connect directly to Lou and all of the Thrive Loud episodes. Thanks for listening.